is a building in America sacred to God. It's this building right here. And then, of course, the youth conferences. And then the Sunday, we had 23,000 in Sunday school, and it was snowing outside. You couldn't see across the street. It was snowing outside, and 23,000 people in Sunday school. And then, of course, the fire and many other things, and then the funny things. We've had so many. To me, the funniest thing, one of the funniest things, the night we had old-fashioned night, and I said, anybody up here want to sing one stanza favorite song, or Out of the Darkness, Earl Dukes? You couldn't see him because it's old-fashioned night and the lights were all off. He said, when they ring those golden bells. Well, I was leading the first stanza, and I couldn't think of the words to save my life. When they ring those golden bells. I said, start it off for us. And he couldn't think of it either. And now the darkness came. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. And then there was a time when Dr. Billings was baptizing up here in the baptistry, and he baptized the little children. But for some reason or other, a very attractive young lady was being baptized. And she was the only one that wasn't a child that time. And Dr. Billings baptized her and didn't get her all the way under. So when you don't get a child all the way under, you usually say, okay, now let's go under again. And Dr. Billings forgot she was an adult. And instead of saying, ma'am, we'll have to take you down again, he said, let's do that again, sweetheart. And so we have the only X-rated baptistry in the entire country. And oh my, there was the time we were having the Lord's Supper, and Jim Lyons up there, that table up there, had a big stack of trays about that high. He reached out to get a tray, and when he did, his elbow or something hit all the trays, and the trays, almost all those trays, and all that juice came right down on you folks back there. In fact, if I were you, I'd never sit back there. I'd sit over on the side somewhere. And Jim Lyons, being the man of action he is, when he saw the trays about to fall, he went and stood there, and as I went, so the Lord, an angel came, pushed the trays back, and so many sweet, happy, funny times we've enjoyed in this building. And now we come to the last Sunday morning, but thank God He's with us today. I am with thee. Jacob, I know you're not going to see your mother for 20 years, but I'm with you. Jacob, I know you won't see your dad for 20 years, but I'm with you. Jacob, I know you won't see your family for 20 years, but I'm with you. Jacob, I know you won't see your country for 20 years, but I'm with you. Jacob, I know you won't see your friends for 20 years, but I'm with you. I am with thee. What a blessed promise. Now Jacob leaves and goes on his journey toward Padan Aram. There's a second promise that God gave to Jacob, a second statement about God's presence, and that's found in chapter 31 and verse 3. Listen to this. And the Lord said unto Jacob, return unto the land of thy fathers and to thy kindred, and I will be with thee. Now the first promise is, I am with thee, and the second promise is, I will be with thee. Say, I like that too. Not only does God say, I'm with you now, but God says, I'll be with you next Sunday in the Civic Center. Jacob, you face a 500-mile trip, but I will be with thee. Jacob, it'll be 25 nights at least. You'll have to sleep like this out in the open, but I will be with thee. Jacob, there'll be beasts, wild beasts and serpents on the journey, but I will be with thee. Jacob, you may face burglars and robbers and thieves, but I will be with thee. You'll be gone 20 years, but I will be with thee. God says, I am with you, Jacob, but He says, I will be with you, Jacob. That means He'll always be with us. He'll never leave us. He'll never forsake us. Did you know the Lord's going to be in the Civic Center next Sunday morning? Yes, He is. You know why? Because we're going to be there. We're going to be there. And this wall will be torn down, all these pews will be taken out, and the furniture will all be gone in probably by tomorrow night. But the Lord, next Sunday morning, we'll meet in the Civic Center, and we'll have basketball nets, and we'll have bleachers, and we'll have a different organ, and we'll have a different pulpit and a different PA system. But you mark my word, God will be there. I will be with thee. I read a story one time about an event that happened in Brooklyn. There was a man in Brooklyn, New York, who was about to go bankrupt. A friend had said, I'll help you out of your trouble. I'll bring you some money. He said, I'll meet you at the Brooklyn City Hall at noon tomorrow. And the fellow, girls, I want to see you, the two just talking, the one in the plaid dress, the one next to her after the service, in my office, please. And so he said, I'll meet you at noon tomorrow. I'll have the money. I'll help you out. So noon, the businessman going bankrupt, a very brilliant man, he came at noon to wait for his friend to come and bring the money. The friend wasn't there at noon. He waited till 12:15, and the friend wasn't there. At 12:30, he wasn't there. 12:45, he wasn't there. Finally, at 1 o'clock, he gave up. Then the businessman thought, maybe that was tomorrow. He went back the next day at noon. He didn't show up. He waited till 12:15, 12:30, 12:45, 1 o'clock. He never showed up. And he went the next day, and the next day. And he was so frantic and so worried and in such trouble. He kept going, and every day. And finally, one day, something happened to his mind. And he went under mentally. And so the rest of his life, every day, he went to that Brooklyn City Hall and waited at 12 o'clock for the man to bring the money. For years and years and years, he never missed a day, they say, waiting for the man to bring the money. 12 and 12:15, 12:30, 1 o'clock. He'd go away after 1 o'clock. And he never came. Did you know you'll never come to meet God what God doesn't meet you? Draw nigh unto me, and I will draw nigh unto thee. I am with thee, Jacob. I know you're homesick, but I'm with you. I know you're lonely, but I'm with you. But something more than that, Jacob. I will be with you. And God gives that promise. I will be with you. Then there's another promise that God gives to Jacob, or a statement that Jacob makes. You'll find it along the same line, Genesis 31:5. Listen to this, where he says, and said unto him, I see your father's countenance, that it is not toward me as before, but the God of my father hath been with me. That's the third thought. God, I am with thee, God said to Jacob. I will be with thee, God said to Jacob. And then Jacob said, the God of my fathers hath been with me. Jacob's older now. He's no young squirt going off to a trip. He's older now. He doesn't look forward. He doesn't need now so much. I will be with you. Jacob looks back and remembers how God has been with him. I celebrated my 48th birthday. I mourned my 48th birthday this last Wednesday. Somebody said, happy birthday. I said, not any such thing when you're my age. And I was 32 when I came to this church. 32. Had hair. Now I'm 48. And still have the hair, by the way. It's in a box at home. And, but 48 years of age. And I had a wonderful day. So many sweet little days. One little girl wrote me a card. And in the card, she said, if nobody else likes you, I do. That's a wonderful, encouraging thing to think of. If nobody else likes you, I do. And I got pennies and nickels. And in some cases where folks realized inflation had set up, it was a dime. You folks that gave me a nickel last year, it cost more to live this year. I needed 7 or 8 cents this year. And in some cases a dime. And some sweet remembrances. And the kids at school, thanks to the workers and the teachers and others. Each little child in the grade school wrote me a private card and told me they loved me. And some folks, one class wrote what my preacher means to me. One fellow had it blank, just nothing there. And you can't wear them all. And but I got to thinking how good God's been to me. I told you Wednesday night, 42 years ago, last Wednesday, my mother had a nickel. That's all she had. We were on relief. That's welfare now. It's called relief back in those days. But that's back when welfare folks were the poorest people. Now the welfare people have the most. I was out at Howard's Meat Market, and I got in line behind this lady. I had some ground beef or something, and got in line. She had porterhouse steaks that thick. She had probably 6 or 8 of them. She had a roast that big around. She had every delicacy that they had, and I thought, boy, I wonder who she is. Boy, she's probably the widow of Martin Luther King Jr. or somebody. I wonder who she is. She was a black lady, and I want to see. And she came time to pay. I said, I'm going to look at her billfold and see how much she's got in it. She pulled out welfare stamps. And I looked at her and I said, be sure and enjoy it. She said, why? I said, I'm paying for it. I looked down at my little ewe lamb. But 42 years ago, last Wednesday night, on my 6th birthday, Mother took a nickel out, and she bought me 5 little pieces of penny candy, chocolate soldiers, some little colored fellas. And now I'll be a racist bigot from now on. But little chocolate soldiers, and I didn't realize the implication there at all when I started into this. But anyway, she sang on the corner of Hobson and Ewing Street out in front of the Libby's grocery store. She sang happy birthday to me, and she wept. I didn't know why she was weeping. As she gave me the chocolate soldiers, a nickel worth of candy on her birthday. I knew why I was weeping, because all I got for my birthday was 5 chocolate soldiers. But she wept. God's been good to me. My dad was a drunkard. My dad could hardly read and write. We lived in poverty. We had an outdoor bathroom. I wasn't a bathroom either. We bathed indoors in a number 2 tub. We had an outdoor toilet. We had 2 rooms and a path about 50 feet long out to the outhouse. We were very poor. Very poor. And I was thinking how good God's been to me. Oh, 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 what He's done for me. Oh, 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 what He's done for me. If I should try throughout eternity, I could never tell you what He's done for me. And I said Wednesday, Lord, it seems like of all people in the world, You've been the best to me. How good God has been. He has been with me. Jacob, you lonely tonight? Yes, I'm lonely. Jacob, you homesick? Yes, I'm homesick. Jacob, you miss your mom and dad? I miss my mom and dad. I'm just a young fellow. Jacob, you miss your bed? I miss my bed. Jacob, miss the old home place? Miss the old home place. Jacob, I am with thee. And forgive me, but I'd rather be without the old home place and have His presence than have the old home place and not have His presence. But Jacob had it. Jacob, got a long trip, 500-mile trip. Jacob, you afraid? I'm scared to death. What are you afraid of, Jacob? Beasts and serpents and robbers and thieves. Jacob, I will be with thee. And Jacob goes on back to his homeland. He gets a wife. Remember how he worked 7 years to get Rachel? Woke up the next morning. Guess who he had? Her sister. Esau. They sent a telegram to Esau. And Esau said, boy, good enough for it. He got my birthright. Now he had to work 7 years and got the wrong woman. And he worked 7 years and got the 14 years for one woman. Boy, when I get to heaven, I want to get a good look at Rachel. And he stayed there, got married to Leah, and got married to Rachel. And he had several dozen others. And so Jacob looked back over his life, though he was backslidden. And though he'd been away from God and away from Bethel, Jacob said, my God has been with me. Look back over your life and remember how God has been with you. Then stop and realize that today He's with you. And then shout that the same God who has begun a good work will finish that good work. He'll stay with you all the way through. I'm talking to a lot of heart-sick people this morning. Last night, I had my appointments. Seemed like everybody that came in last night cried, or most everybody. Seemed like they had so many heartaches and many tears were shed in my office, as is always the case. And I came over here, had to leave, and left the young lady crying, just broken-hearted, just absolutely life-wrecked and ruined and broken-hearted. And I came over here, conducted a wedding for a little lady who had seen some awful tough times. And she had been in my office, I guess, hundreds of times with burdens and heartaches, and the sun wouldn't shine, and the clouds wouldn't break open, and the tears. Now the tears are gone for her for a while, maybe forever, I hope. And she got married, and there was laughter over here. Everybody was laughing. And they took pictures, and I said to the bride and groom, act like you're happy.